Okay, we'll call the Public Works and Planning Committee to order. Call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Commissioner Nipper?
Here.
Commissioner Piercy?
Here.
Commissioner Sereno?
Here.
Commissioner Stevens?
Here.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Here.
Need to approve the minutes.
They approved minutes last meeting.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let the highway department's up here first. Greg, come on up.
We don't have a report, but I'm available if anybody has any questions.
Okay. Okay then, we'll move right on along to building codes report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I will start with, building permits. We are, did about the same, running about the same as we did last month. 95,631. But up about 20,000 from last year, same time last year. Total permits for this month was 234. 53 of those were single-family dwellings, which is pretty average for December. Zoning enforcement is, total inspections was 136. Again, down a little bit this time of year. And development tax, if nobody has any questions on any of those. Anybody have any questions on the building permits or? I'll then move on to development tax. Our total development tax collected this month, or December, was 128,250, which is down significantly from the month before. And I felt like the decline in it would warrant an explanation for it, which is why I printed out a breakdown of the different jurisdictions. And I took the amount that we had collected this time last year and the amount collected this time this year, currently this year, and just broke down the difference and where the difference comes in from the development tax collected. So everybody has seen, all the jurisdictions with the exception of Rutherford County have seen a significant decline this last 6 months compared to last year.
What are your thoughts on the decline? Your reason, what, less lots coming?
Well, that would be what development tax would signify.
As opposed to permits, you're saying?
Exactly, yeah. Although, or just reading in the papers and the media and stuff, Murfreesboro and Smyrna have seen a decline in building permit issuance also.
It may be the timing and the flow of these apartments.
Yeah.
Every single unit in the apartment gets the development tax, so, we've had a huge number of, and they may be decreasing a bit in the new construction phases.
Right, and the city of Murfreesboro also had that moratorium on the rezoning of multifamily housing, so they haven't had the apartments that they had the previous year, this year.
Your concerns, Mr. Mayor?
We're still substantially ahead of our budget, even with these numbers. Because, Lisa put a pretty conservative number in for the budget, I think like 3.5 million or something, and we're already at 2.2 million or thereabouts, I believe, yeah. So we're ahead of our budget projections,
Okay.
even though there is a decrease.
You're welcome. If there's no other questions?
Make the motion to approve her report as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Next time, thanks for this.
Aye.
Evening, Commissioners.
Evening.
Hope you're all doing well. Have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. First report I want to share with you is the available lot inventory. You'll see that on your iPads. On the fourth page there, you'll see at the kind of the middle, I guess it's the bottom of the report, but middle of the page, the total available lots that we have in the county as of right now is 641. That's down for about 680 or so from last month. We didn't see just a whole lot of new subdivision plats recorded, at least larger ones. We had a couple, several 1 or 2 lots that were recorded, but this tracks anything 3 lots or greater. So we've been in that range roughly from about, we had a high this year of available lots of a little over 700 to a low back in July about 630. So we've pretty much been in this range that we're in right now for the last year. So when you look at, I'll have a chart that I'll print out for you when we do our year-end report. We'll be giving that to the Planning Commission at our next Planning Commission meeting, and I'll present that to you at our next Planning and Public Works Committee. That when you see the kind of the trend line for the last several years, it kind of starts, it kind of goes up a little bit, and it goes down, 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 and then for the last year or so, it's just kind of done this. So that's just typical for what we've been experiencing. So all the numbers that we're seeing here really aren't surprising, especially in this time of year when we tend to slow down a little bit. So the subdivision plats that haven't been recorded yet, you'll see that in the second part of that report. That number I don't think will change much from last month. We didn't really see any new preliminary plans come through in December. And like I said, we didn't see any larger plats be recorded. So that number is pretty much stationary from what we've seen. If there's no questions on that, I'll go ahead and move into our rezoning report. We will have one rezoning application for your consideration at, well, I guess it's this week's Board of Commissioners meeting. We have a piece of property located along Flat Rock Road. This probably looks familiar to you. The applicant recently rezoned a portion of this. You'll remember it was about 0.4 acres back in August of 2017. The Planning Commission did approve a site plan for that project back in October. But since that time, the applicant's indicated desire to either sell the remaining property that he owns, the remaining tract, because it was a larger tract, or to possibly expand his business further. At the public hearing, what he shared with the Planning Commission was basically that the improvements that he'd like to do on the property, he just needs some capital to help pay for it, so he's hoping to be able to sell a portion of this land in order to maybe help him pay for the improvements he'd like to make. So that's really, I think, the motivation behind this. He said if he doesn't have a seller or a buyer, excuse me, that'd be willing to buy it, then he might just expand his business. He's not just entirely sure which direction he's going to go. But there was no concept plan that was submitted with this. There is an existing single-family structure on the property. Should the property be rezoned, commercial services does not allow for residential uses, but as long as the use is maintained as residential, it's a legally established grandfathered use, so the use can continue. So there's not an issue with that, provided he meets the criteria in Section 13 of our zoning ordinance. Regarding any other questions at the meeting, there really weren't anybody that came forward that speak either for or against it at the public hearing. The Planning Commission did have some questions about that, really about his plans for the property. Some of the commissioners did have concerns about the speculative nature of the request, but after discussion, they did recommend approval. It wasn't unanimous, but the vote was 7-4 and 2 against. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have on this application.
There's commercial highway already to the
Services, commercial
southeast.
services.
Commercial
Yes,
services.
sir. Yeah, it's the same.
Adjoining properties are commercial services.
Correct. That's the same zoning he had requested before, and the where the business that he currently has, the AJ's Tree Service, that was already zoned commercial services when he bought it.
Whose district is that in?
It's in Commissioner P's district.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'll make a motion that we approve the report as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second. Call roll. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
You solid waste.
Yeah. This is a rare occurrence that Mac is out. He probably would have driven all the way down here today, but it's a drive, so he was nice enough to let me do it today. So, so we're going to start with the landfill report. The major thing that I know Mac specifically wanted me to point out about this was 26% of our revenue for the year came out of this past month. So that means more tonnage, which, we end up a lot fuller than we expected. So we may be closing up the landfill a little sooner than expected. He's thinking before May with the amount that we received this year. It obviously Christmas time's our busiest year. It's the same for commercial. So when we're taking in commercial dumping, that can happen. So he just wanted me to make you guys aware of that specifically, since that's kind of our impending issue right now with our landfill. But the total revenue was $143,206. But that is 26% of what we expected this year. And do you guys have any questions on that? The landfill? No, good. Okay. Then move on. The schools were closed, so we didn't have quite as many loads from them as we would have expected, obviously, since they're closed. That's normally kind of a downtime for schools, but you see a swing at the centers. We get most of the dumping at the centers. We received 150 more boxes. That's how many we hauled, more boxes this year than last year. That's a lot, but we see a steady increase from, they gave me the notes from 2015. It was 2,211 boxes that we hauled. In 2016, it's 2,383 boxes that we hauled. So you see this steady increase of about 150 boxes every year. That's quite a bit for our drivers. It was a very, very busy holiday for them.
How many new trucks were put on the road since last year? Not replacement, but
Not replacement.
But to help haul.
That's not a specific answer that I could, I couldn't give you a very specific answer. I would guess about two.
Two.
From what I remember him talking about, it would have been two. But
I just wondered if the drivers were working overtime, all of that.
Yeah, but with that, some of them don't mind doing that.
Right.
It's the holidays, and they're willing to work really hard. But yeah, it was a very busy year this year. I think that just because we get another truck doesn't necessarily mean we get more drivers. Depends on who we can hire,
Right.
Things like that. So
That's what I was wondering. You were saying we hauled 150 more
I see.
containers, I guess.
Yeah.
You say boxes, but
yeah.
and I wondered how harder did the people have to work? Do we need new people, new trucks?
Of course, with the increase.
True.
You have to look at that in general, just as maybe a slow increase, but right now we're able to keep up.
Well,
Sometimes we'll have maintenance.
I'm just kind of,
Yeah.
and if Mac's there, I would ask him too,
Yeah.
that, can we see into the future this year, him coming and asking for more trucks and drivers?
Yeah. I wouldn't know the answer to that. Fortunately, since I do mainly the media side,
Oh, okay.
there's certain things I know, certain things I don't
So-
know. Yeah. I wouldn't know, but of course he's always planning way ahead. That's one thing I learned about him was he's constantly, planning ahead. So I think he has a structured plan for what that's going to look like, and he tracks these things for years, so he kind of knows exactly
Yeah.
where next year may be. So he probably does. I know
Okay.
he has a plan. I just don't know if that would incorporate a new truck or not. That's a good question, though. Something I'll talk to him about, too, because that's
Okay.
important to know, too, in case, just residents are wondering. You never know when somebody's going to ask you a question, so. Do you guys have any more questions in regards to anything else on here? In general, December's our busiest month, and you can kind of see that even just with the reports from 2015, 2017. We just see an increase in December specifically, too, because people are home, kids are home. It's kind of the same as the summers when families are home. we just see an increase.
Is that the entirety of your report?
Yep, yeah, there's not really much change other than just general increase. There's a lot of numbers, so I try to keep it as general as I can. I know there's a lot to look at in general and the tracking of everything, but I just know that, specifically the schools went down, our centers went up, landfill also went up. But the landfill to me was probably the biggest issue, just due to potential closure very soon.
I'm content and would make a motion to approve your report.
Thank you.
Second.
Made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry to be so mean.
No, you're not being mean. You're not being mean. Those are good questions. It helps me sometimes with messaging too. So, thank you.
Anybody got any other business? I'll move with adjourn.
All right.